Well, all right. Welcome, everyone, to your old Fitzy's Draftermath 2021 edition, wherein, alongside some of the best fanalists working in the game right now, and or at least people that were cool enough to grab a drink and talk to me on a 6 o'clock Saturday night, we're going to break down how the Patriots did in the 2021 NFL Draft. How you doing, folks? Your old pal, Nick Fitzy Stevens, coming to you live with some J.J. Abrams lighting behind me from the old Fitzatorium, my basement, the debasement. And today I am joined by some of Foxborough's finest. Shout out to my friends, one of our sponsors at Narragansett right there, a little handheld Rhode Island to celebrate what was an awesome draft for the Patriots. Let's cut to the chase and bring in our special guest today. Man, that is lemon-flavored heaven in a can. Speaking of enjoying an ice-cold beverage someplace close to our heart, the host of Sports on U Stadium, a social media assassin, living large, Brianna Pirre, BSP 13, who's at Gillette right now. What's up, Bri?
I don't know if anybody can see, but we are here live. Don't look at the porta potty, just look at the stadium. Hi, how you doing?
No, that's a great look. That's perfect. That's an awesome look. That's exactly where I belong. It's so great. How great does it feel, by the way? I know you're catching a Revs game tonight. The other night I was actually watching the game. I think it was last Saturday or 2 Saturdays ago. And my older boy was just looking at that going like, wait, we can go to soccer on a Saturday night at the football stadium? Like, can we do that? Yeah. How much fun is that to be back at a live game?
Oh, man, I'm so excited. I went to a Bruins game as soon as they allowed fans back. I've been to a couple Sox games so far, but just to be here, like, this is like our Mecca. Like, it's a whole different vibe in this parking lot right here. And I'm sitting in a parking lot talking about vibes. Like, you go anywhere else and nobody's like, all right, crazy lady, shut up. But this place is insane. Like, it just brings you that sense of like, all right, we're slowly getting back to normal.
Right.
Things are kind of coming, on the downswing with this whole pandemic. Life is trying to get back to where we were a year and a half ago. And this is the place to be. Soon
it is. No, it is. You don't realize how much you miss fans, live engagement, waiting in line, people stepping on your feet, traffic, and then of course, like the shared communal experience, the emotionally connective tissue of sports together. It's so. I almost started crying on my way to the Super Bowl, and I know you were down there in Tampa Bay as well for that. Like, yes. Just like smelling the grill and seeing people come together. It's so great. And now it has led up to this. The day when we have finished the draft. Here we are on the Draftermath talking about some of the great players the Patriots selected in a dominant draft. If you get a chance to cruise by the Pro Shop, I will take a Cameron Mcgrone. Is that his name? Cameron, the linebacker out of Michigan they took in the 5th round.
Okay.
Yeah.
If they have it. If not, Mcgrone is his name.
Cameron Mcgrone. Okay, Mcgrone. I want Mcgrone. Mcgrone also is what people do usually at my dad jokes, but I want a Mcgrone because when asked at his immediate availability after being drafted by the Patriots, he said, and this is what's going to put him near and dear to our heart and that of our next guest, the best amateur analyst that ESPN needs to hire, the one and only Taylor Kyles. This kid, I don't know if you heard Mcgrone afterwards, Taylor, but he said, I will do anything for the New England Patriots. I was like, that is my new favorite player. That is what's up. How are you, guy?
I'm doing well. Sounds like he's going to fit in with the rest of us. We all got the same mentality, doing anything for our team, even if it means taking a lot of hits for your current franchise QB, as I want to do. But thank you guys for having me on. I'm excited.
Yes, I don't know if you guys don't follow Taylor and Bree already, make sure you do. She's at BSP_13, and Taylor is at TKyles39. Dude, I met you online in a totally brotastic experience. You do some of the best film breakdowns of anyone out there, whereas I do the dad jokes and Bree just shoots everybody down and just stands over their smoldering ashes and enjoys the game for us. So first, Taylor, who's your favorite draft pick? And who I feel like everyone is saying the Pats crushed the draft, that they were like, how did Bill Belichick let X, Y, and Z come to them? So before we get into the obvious of Mac Jones, and the Pats were just on the clock and selected Trey Nixon, wide receiver out of University of Central Florida. Live react to that one real quick before we get into some of the other picks.
So I don't know a ton about him, but apparently he's a really great athlete. Tall guy, he's fast. And my thought process was he's a late guy, so I don't think they're really expecting him to make the roster necessarily. But the Patriots tend to have a guy on the practice squad who's an athletic, deep guy. They tend to not have the best hands. There's usually something about their game that isn't really something you could put on the field and expect him to consistently produce. But he seems like the kind of guy who, if they're playing one of those freak athletes who's just really hard to replicate physically, like on their roster, it's no secret. It's not like they got a 6'3" guy who's running a 4'4" or anything like that necessarily. But from what I can see from, just very quickly looking this guy up and seeing what he's about from people I trust, it sounds like he's kind of a practice squad-ish kind of guy who's going to give them that athleticism outside when they need to simulate certain types of offenses.
So, Bree, who was your – so, obviously, I profess my love for Mcgrone because he said I'll do anything for the Pats. All of these guys, and that's the thing to do. The optics are like hop online, write a Go Jets or an LFG or a Fins Up or something like that. And I mentioned the Jets and Fins because the AFC East kind of kicked the draft's ass. All the teams had a great one. Who's your favorite not named Mac Jones from the Pats picks?
Yeah, not named Mac Jones. It was Christian Barmore. But now, as of today, I saw that quick little clip that Pro Football Focus posted on Stevenson where he looks like the spitting image of LeGarrette Blount. And I'm all in. I am completely and utterly sold on this kid.
Yeah, I was doing some pieces for WEI about guys that I thought the Pats might want to pick up, good fits for them. This series called The Armchair General Manager, and I'd been picking the brain along the way of like a Taylor and Keegan Stifle and Pat and Ryan Spagnoli over at Pulpit. And you guys have forgotten more today than I think I'm going to learn in this lifetime. And I thought Barmore would be a great fit. But there were all these other James White-sized running backs that I thought the Pats might want to pick up because, let's face it, this is probably Sweet Feet's last year. And instead of picking up another little dude we could all fall in love with, they go out and they get somebody who literally looks like he was made at the LeGarrette Blount factory.
Right. Yeah, he's a big dude. He runs mean.
Yeah.
Based on the limited clips that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, SEC defenses really aren't, the best. You look at that one clip, like I said, I referenced Pro Football Focus. Florida just can't tackle to save their lives.
Yeah, well.
But I mean, it's interesting when you look at what Mike Reese said about how they weren't going to pick up Sony's fifth year, and then they go and they grab a kid like this, and now he's like, well,
right,
it's even more clear. So, like, Sony's probably going to be hitting free agency next year, so it's interesting to see how kind of like the prepared thinking that goes behind this.
It's interesting how they always do that, and that's what I was going to ask you, Taylor. Like Bree, that's a great point. It's like Belichick knows, and I'm surprised they didn't do that at cornerback, which could be a little bit of a tell that either he thinks he already has the depth on the team, maybe he believes in Jalen Mills, maybe he thinks Miles Bryant can play, that he didn't go out and try to get Steph Gilmore's replacement or J.C. Jackson. Maybe he's going to pay him. Maybe he thinks he's got him already. He didn't spend heavy on wide receivers, so maybe he loves the guys he signed. And he thinks Gunna the runner, and I'm a big believer in Olszewski and his trajectory mirroring Julian Edelman's career. But some of the guys that he picked up today along the way, including Ramondre Stevenson, I believe. Is that correct, Taylor? Yeah.
Ramondre Stevenson.
Ramondre Stevenson. Yeah, like when you pick up just a giant beast mode juggernaut of a dude like that, that tells me they're not picking up Sony Michel's fifth-year option. And it's going to be like DeMarco Murray style, like get ready to run the ball into the ground this year, and then we'll hit the bricks and have a nice career.
Yeah, man. I don't know if they're ever going to call it pass again. Like they got the O-line now. They got Trenton Brown and Shaq Mason on the right side.
Like, oh, thank goodness. If Cam's
why would you?
That's the best news I could have heard. All
don't you dare. Don't you get me started.
I need to. I need to.
Because
we need to.
Taylor and I might be the only two true Cam defenders.
Are you the Cam stand? Oh, I
wouldn't go as far as to say I'm a stan, but I do give him the benefit of the doubt that I feel like not a lot of people do. Taylor, on the other hand, along with N'Keal Harry.
Hey, listen,
N'Keal, I've come around to be like, all right, buddy, like you got to prove it a little bit more. Like N'Keal, I get it. I stood up for the guy. He definitely needs to prove it on the field. But like Cam's been MVP, and I know you can be like, oh, that was so long ago. But I mean, really quick, dude's had horrible circumstances the past few years. If he wasn't hurt, he was on a team where they just did nothing to really give him any help offensively. The Pats didn't get him till late, so they were already behind the 8 ball and didn't really build around him. So, I mean, this is the year that everybody is going to have the ammo to either be like, damn, Tay isn't as dumb as we thought, or Tay was dumber than we thought. You know what I mean? So we'll find out this year. But
I have it all
in terms of the
bookmarked, don't you worry.
No, I know you do.
Oh,
I know
yes,
you do.
You are you honestly, instead of at BSP under 13, it should be at keeping receipts.
Bree's the one with the CVS receipts that like are taller than you. And they're just like in a cabinet somewhere.
You said this about me, like you should do this, you shouldn't do that. I got you. Like that's exactly what it's a CVS receipt.
Yeah.
Too. I love
live in constant fear of Bree's receipts. But yeah, Stevenson is a beast, absolute baller. I think my early thought when I saw him was, remember when they had Ridley and Blunt first got to the New England, and we really saw Ridley for most of the game, and then Blunt would come in. I remember like the Falcons game was one of the first ones that always comes to mind, like 2013, the one where Vince Wilfork got hurt.
Great freaking game, a game that ended on the night that Breaking Bad aired their season finale, their series finale, and I was going back and forth between the two. And I remember the game ended on it was that long ago. Oh my God. The game ended on an Aqib Talib pass breakup, and then he went to the bench and he did that thing where it and everyone was like, "Ain't got no worries." That meme, the Aqib Talib meme, broke out afterwards. And
that was that one.
That
was that one. I remember. But yeah, I remember that was one of the first games where it was like, listen, Blunt guy, you put him in at the end of games when teams are already tired. Like Ridley's a good back, and now they got Damian Harris, who even more is one of those really physical guys that you're not going to want to tackle all game. Then you get a 230-pound back who's good on his feet. He's got a little bit of a spin move too. The more I've watched from him, like what he'll do is a lot of the time he'll run into the pile, kind of wait for the play to develop, and if someone kind of glances off him, he'll just spin right off. Great contact balance. The kind of guy where it's not even just running guys over straight. Like he's got some elusiveness in the open field where honestly you see secondary guys, they don't want to tackle him. And then that starts to trickle down to the linebackers late in games where it's like, dude, I'm gassed. You got to stop the run late. If there's a lead or you're trying to protect the lead, whatever the case may be. We know the Pats will run the ball till the very last drive they have to, as we saw against the Bills. So, and Stevenson also had a lot of carries in the shotgun, which I think we could see a lot more from the Pats now. With Cam Newton, obviously they got a lot of the option plays, the read stuff where either Cam's getting into the back is. So you need the shotgun to kind of give that two-way option. Mm-hmm. And we know with the two tight ends, they've got a fullback. They've got Dalton Keene too. Like they could go out 4 tight ends fullback, and I don't know if that math works out, but they can just go heavy and run the rock with whoever. Right. And having, first of all, Sony had his best season, I think, since his rookie year last year. Yeah, he was hurt, and
they hate on Sony all the time. Not to jump on you, but like I want people to know the Pats ran for almost 2,400 yards last year. They just improved the offensive line. Damian Harris, I know you got to try to make sure he's healthy. That's why I think that they're going to run Sony Michel into the ground. He averages 5.7 yards a carry when he's healthy behind a good line. That's why the line of the night, like I might put this on a T-shirt. The Pats might not throw a pass this season. Why would you if you can just run mother effers run all over the rest of the league?
And then Nelson Aguilar is going to have another career year because there's going to be 9-man boxes all game. Like the teams are just going to have to load up to stop the pass. And I think that's one of the things that's going to help them where I know they just drafted a receiver. I don't think this guy is going to make the team, quite frankly, just because it's very late in the draft. You don't expect these guys to crack your roster. But at the same time, they've got so much talent in the backfield. This offensive line is just so dominant. The right side alone, like, is terrifying. And then you got Onwenu, who's going to be pulling on counter with Mason and Trent Brown double teaming. Like I wake up excited having dreams about this kind of stuff. But then the receivers are going to be able to capitalize on that because Nelson Aguilar is a really fast guy who you can win legit downfield. He reminds me of Ted Ginn in the sense that he's a legit downfield threat. His hands are kind of hit or miss, but I think Aguilar is more consistent as a receiver. I also like what he does after the catch a lot more. I think he's underrated in that respect because he was used as an X receiver, so didn't have as many opportunities to have the ball in his hands in space. Kendrick Bourne's another guy who I think he and Jacoby Myers are going to have a real nice fight out for the wide receiver 2 spot. I think Bourne's going to win out because he's a veteran. I think he's a really good guy. He scored 8 touchdowns last year. Another thing we don't really like to talk about, I feel like, with the Pats receivers is both these guys scored a lot of touchdowns last year. And that's just to complement a run game where we know the Pats are going to run it as much as they physically can. Yeah. I'm excited. I like where they're headed.
And Jacoby Myers threw more touchdowns than he caught. And I like to think like Jacoby Myers, like And now let's get into the Mac Jones side of things. Jacoby Myers, who I like to refer to as the Ocean State job lot version of Devonta Smith, like he's a not so slim reaper. Like the guy like him is going to benefit so much from the eventual quarterback. Hate to say it, guys. I know they're going to run, and Cam's going to be the starter eventually, but I think Mac Jones finishes the season, even though some may believe he would follow not an Aaron Rodgers track, but maybe a Jimmy G or a Mahomes track and sit for a year or two. He throws people open. He's smart as a whip. He's a sneaky competitor. He's kind of a sociopath, even though he presents that squeaky clean visage of like being an all shucks, good Letterman type. I'm excited for that. So, Bree, when you saw they took Mac Jones first round, did you have another quarterback that you were crushing on or that you wanted them to pick, or were you happy with the Mac Jones pick?
No, I definitely wanted Fields just for the sake of following the trend that the NFL is going in with the quarterback position being more mobile. Mac Jones is more of your prototypical pocket passer. Say that 5 times fast, I know. But Justin Fields, I feel like if this team, with what they tried to do with Cam last year, incorporating the run at the quarterback position, I feel like just Justin Fields is younger. He's got less wear and tear. A little bit more agility, I think, just because he's a little bit smaller than Cam, both in height and body mass.
Yep.
That's really what I wanted. I'm not saying that I don't like the Mac Jones pick necessarily, because he does fit the system with what we saw for the last 20 years with Tom Brady. And please, people, please stop comparing the two because they're not anywhere close to the same. Please, I'm begging. It makes me want to puke every single time.
No saying Mac is Cam backwards or Cam is Mac backwards.
Oh, I did
no
that.
Comparing the two because of the dad bod picks and or the fact that they're like Caucasian quarterbacks that are really good at pocket awareness and can shuffle step left, right, forward, and backward. Like it's an entirely different ball game altogether. The fact that he's smart, prepared, and like I said, a little psychotic about the fact that he's always wanted to be a quarterback. I just highlighted a comment a second ago. Somebody posted, he said to Scott Pioli back a while ago, here's the comment once again. This was a quote. I don't care how high I get picked. I want to go to the Patriots. Mac Jones said to Scott Pioli ages back. So, I'll take that. This is what the kid, like, you got to respect the fact that Mac Jones has like always wanted to be a pro quarterback. And he's gone to all these football academies, and then he ends up at Alabama, and his high school coach was an MFer and a psycho, and his college coach was a grumpy bastard, and now he's going to go play for the grumpiest, most brilliant coach in football. Like, he doesn't mind getting coached up hard. Like, I like the fact that he says, bring your FU game, even though I've got that squeaky clean, like I look like Biff from Back to the Future. I got the MFer game right back at you.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, he's like the thing that kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say sold me on him because I didn't need to be bought on the guy. But the most interesting thing to me was he went up to the commissioner, gave him a hug, and said, "This is what I wanted. Don't tell anybody." First of all, you're gonna tell the commissioner this? He already hates this team with a burning passion. He already hates this team. Everybody's going to, exactly. Everybody's going to hear it, first of all. Second of all, the guy who's looking, and he's got an axe to grind for this organization, he's going to look and see, was there tampering here? So this is something we can learn.
That's right.
It's a learning experience.
Brianna Pirre is calling it out right now. Cheers. Macgate is breaking it out. Hashtag Macgate. Everyone do it. Cheers to that. All right, here you go. All right, you know what? I have to address this one right here. I want you to answer this one. Chowder Pouch, which is a fabulous handle, and I'm pissed off that I didn't grab it first. Running quarterbacks get hurt. Pocket quarterbacks win Super Bowls. Taylor?
I mean, historically, yeah, because we haven't had a lot of athletic quarterbacks who consistently run who've had the opportunity, so that stat is skewed. I love the name, but that's not totally fair. But at the same time, I try to think of it like this. Who is it? Oh my God, who is the athletic quarterback? Oh, Randall Cunningham. Randall Cunningham was a running quarterback in
1998. Robbed.
I wasn't even alive, so I wouldn't even know. But I'll take your word for it.
Gary Anderson. They went 15-1. Gary Anderson misses a 34-yard kick. Atlanta makes it with Chris Chandler at quarterback, and then Denver absolutely eats their lunch and blows them off the field in the Super Bowl. Whereas Minnesota wasn't. That was That was Randall Cunningham to that was the rookie season of Straight Cash Homie. Randall Cunningham to Randy Moss back in 1998 was a show that we all know Brady to Moss was the greatest thing ever, but holy shit, you guys, that was electric. They were un-effing stoppable.
I actually do think I've seen that on NFL films. But yeah, a guy who, especially for his time, like athletic running quarterbacks were not looked upon very highly. And he's a guy who got hurt by standing in the pocket, and he was pissed afterwards because I forget what exactly the history was, but I remember he had a new coach who came in and said, we're not running you anymore. And he wound up getting hurt worse than he ever had because he was standing in the pocket and had no protection and got clobbered. Right. So running quarterbacks with poor awareness get hurt. You got guys like Russell Wilson, guys like even Lamar Jackson. Lamar is different because his body, he's just so flexible. Like it's very hard to hurt him because it's a TB12 method. If you're pliable, it's kind of harder for you to get that soft tissue damage where you get the really bad injuries. And Lamar could take a pretty big hit and you just got to kind of glance off him. But you got smart running quarterbacks. Cam is another one of them who doesn't take hits that he doesn't need to. Like the dude's 250 pounds. So in his case specifically, it's not a matter of like he shouldn't be getting touched because he's bigger than a lot of the guys who are trying to tackle him. But he's also smart enough where you see kind of plays where he looks awkward and he'll fall behind the line of scrimmage. It's like, yeah, because he understands don't take big hits when you don't need to. So exactly. I think that saying running quarterbacks get hurt is not fair because if a running quarterback is going to be a hero and take a hit from a guy who weighs 50 pounds more than they're running full speed, you're going to get hurt. That's physics. That's being human. But I wouldn't go as far as to say that just being a running quarterback means that, you're more susceptible to injury than some guy who's standing in the pocket and can get blindsided and get his legs taken out. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, if anything, last season as well, Cam Newton seemed like he got hurt more on those plays where he was sitting back there patting the football Bledsoe style and got clobbered like in the Denver game when he also took out Jermaine Illuminor when he held on to it like 4 or 5, 6, like they said it was a pass. And that's exactly when he and Belichick did mesh. David Chase Lopes, hello from Paris. I'm originally from Weymouth. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks very much. So people are really hype about this draft. What do you guys think about? The fact that Belichick, in a year where it seems like obviously the college football season was kind of altered, you couldn't had to go to the individual pro days. There was no combine. He basically just leaned back and trusted his buddies. 2 Alabama Crimson Tide first, so now it's Roll Pats. Then we got 2. Now we got Boomer Foxborough, which is why Bree is down there representing in the Oklahoma of the North. We got 2 Sooners, and then Michigan. Like, talk about Belichick right off the bat, the first 5 picks. Do you guys think that this Perkins kid will say? I haven't seen much of him, Bree. I don't know if you saw Ronnie Perkins play college football very much.
Can't say.
Yeah, I didn't see him play very much. Like, is this someone who is again back to what you were saying, Bree? Taylor, do you think that like grabbing a Ronnie Perkins is like, let me stash him behind Judon and Winovich, and then when the time is right, I'm going to unleash like a Trey Flowers type that I found at a bargain in the 3rd round?
Definitely could be. He's the kind of guy who I think could make an immediate impact on special teams. He's really athletic. He's not. I remember I said on Twitter that he was twitchy, and I should clarify that because as a pass rusher, he's not the most athletic guy. Like, he's not super bendy like Chase Winovich. He's not super athletic in that regard because I feel like as pass rushers, you usually see the best of the best athletes in the trenches. But against the run, he's a guy where he's just so smart, and it feels like he's everywhere he needs to be because he's very quick to diagnose run schemes, which is something that Kyle Van Noy is great at. He's a disruptive player. Like, one thing about him that's different from a lot of Patriots linebackers, he's much more a penetrator. Usually you see the Patriots to do a lot of 2-gapping where you stack, you look and find where the guy is, then you throw the guy aside and you make the tackle. He can do that, but a lot of his best plays in college were him jumping into gaps, which isn't something you see a ton, although like guys like Adam Butler, guys like Tashawn Bauer last year, who are kind of smaller, more athletic, who want to use that penetrating ability. The Patriots have shown they're willing to do it. But one of the big things is once you're in the backfield, are you actually making the play or are you being disruptive and maybe, not finishing? He's a guy who there's a ton of plays where you'll see on gap. So when they've got pullers coming his way, where he'll get into the backfield because he slipped the first person who was supposed to block him, then understands that someone's coming, gets around him, and then makes the play. That's the kind of thing that really excites you because this is a young guy who shows the IQ to be able to pick that stuff up really quickly and make the plays while capitalizing on his athleticism. He's a guy, he definitely reminds me of Van Noy in that regard, the way he plays the run. Like, not the biggest, most physical guys.
Yeah,
like, you think of John Simon, he's stiff, but he was that big dude who would just jack you up on the end of the line of scrimmage. Van Noy's not necessarily that guy, but he's long. He's good with his hands.
Yep.
The placement's good, so he's always going to be in a good position. That's what I think of when I think of Perkins. And on top of that, he was also a highly graded pass rusher. He's a guy who's got a good first step. Like I said, he's not super bendy, but he converts speed to power really well on like bull rushes. He's got a nice inside move. He's got a few tricks in his arsenal that I think are pretty good for a guy who, he missed a lot of games. So I guess from the outside, you would be a little worried thinking, all right, like in a shortened season, he missed even more time. But he's got a lot of tools in the short time that he was there that are really exciting. And I think that if Kyle Van Noy doesn't come back after this season, he's a guy who could potentially step in after getting some great tutelage from some really smart guys in Hightower, Judon, and Kyle Van Noy, and potentially play a starting role and be a serious contributor as both run defender and pass defender.
I couldn't agree with you. Couldn't agree with you more. Well said. Honestly, I don't understand why any of the football networks don't hire you. And if anything I can do to highlight you and pimp you out to make sure that everybody knows that you deserve that shine and that spotlight, your football descriptions and swag are top notch, my man. So cheers to that.
I know I'm dark, but I'm blushing. Thank you, buddy.
That's only because there's not too much light in there. It's a silhouette effect. All right, here's two questions.
It's my tan.
So one, who was maybe like, because we all had him, and it's okay to admit to him now. Like we didn't get him. It's okay. People do it this time of year. Any draft crushes or somebody you wish the Patriots took at any certain spot? And then B, just overall, like, what do you think Belichick is saying coming off of the most uncharacteristically aggressive free agency period that we've seen at the end of this draft? Is it like, F you, I'm building my defense back up? Is it I'm not losing the AFC East again? Or is it like I'm still Bill Belichick, that's what I do? You know what I mean?
All of the above, I think, in terms of that question, especially because with how aggressive like the Jets were going to be in this draft based on their positioning.
Yep.
And they went 7-9 last year. You think Bill Belichick, of all people, is going to say, all right, well, if that happens again next year, ho-hum, so be it. Hell no. Absolutely not. So in terms of, being insanely aggressive during free agency, I think that was one of those things where they absolutely took advantage of the fact that they had all this money and they didn't really have all of that competition for players that they usually would have in a normal offseason because of COVID, obviously. So he went balls to the wall, opened up the wallet, he got the okay from Robert, and they went to town and they got some pretty damn good talent. This defense is going to be unbelievable this year. Unbelievable.
So sexy. I know. And that's people, I know, like we all just still think for some reason that the Patriots, like maybe it's the 2007 effect, maybe it's Brady to Gronk, but like Patriots football, it's unsexy. Like it's in the trenches. Bill Belichick is in the Hall of Fame. I've made this point time and again, just to remind everybody that like Patriots football is all about the win. It's all about grinding it out. And he's in the Hall of Fame for a defensive game plan where he allowed the opposing running back to run for 230 yards in a Super Bowl. And then they eked out a win thanks to a missed field goal against one of the greatest offenses in NFL history, not because they threw 5 touchdown passes. So that's how they do. That's how Belichick rolls. And I expect the team to be more the same this year. But is there anyone you had your eye on in the draft? Like, I kind of wish they grabbed Dwayne Eskridge. I love De'Ami Brown. I loved Elijah Moore. Like, was there any one player you sort of like? I know you loved Fields. Was there anyone else you were like, oh God, I want that jersey so bad, like in a white away with the stripes? So
he's not a first rounder. He's not this big sexy name like Jalen Waddle or Devontae Smith. Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think his route running is unbelievable. I think he's better than his brother, who obviously plays for the Packers.
Right.
He's with the way this receiving core is right now, I don't think it could have hurt at all to take somebody like that and plug him in and see where he could fit, essentially.
Yep.
And it really goes back to the route running and the separation, because that's something we saw last year that was really lacking. I'm hoping this year we get that figured out. They get it figured out. because if there's no separation, no matter who's at quarterback, it's going to be tough to throw the football. So, but that's somebody that I really was hoping would be like an early day 3 guy.
Right. I
got
couldn't
drafted
believe
by
he
the
was
Lions,
available.
I think.
Yeah, he got drafted by the Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Some people thought the Pats might take him in the second, or that he was like an early day 2 talent. Slips all the way to round 5, and the Lions end up having like a very unsexy, productive, successful draft. The first year for Coach Kneecap Raider ends up actually being a pretty good draft. And they need wide receivers out there as well. I'm with you. He was somebody I was really, really high on. Kind of a clinician in terms of like very precise, good hands. And I loved a lot of the short, speedy guys too. Taylor, who did you love, or who did you have like a secret little draft crush on that you kind of hope the Pats got, but oh well?
Honestly, in my heart, like the only person I really wanted was Justin Fields. But as a Chicago-born boy,
okay.
I wasn't even that upset. Like here's the thing with the Pats draft. I have refused to emotionally invest in really anybody, because I feel like most of the time it just comes so far to left field. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to spend a week like get my hopes up about so-and-so and then, having them completely disregard this guy for 3 rounds or whatever. But Fields, I was really feeling it. I think definitely the pre-draft type around it too. Like you had to root for the guy considering how much he'd already proven, how well he had done in college, and how he had, I think, asserted himself over a lot of the people he was being mentioned with, and not getting the respect that it seemed like he deserved. So I thought it would be really cool to have that kind of guy on the Patriots, especially with Cam. There's that video online of him gassing Fields when he was in high school. So that would have been really cool. Definitely got my hopes up the day before the draft and then leading in. It was fun. Like I had some fun with it, but
I was all ready for them to get Garoppolo after the A-bomb that my old radio partner Dale Arnold dropped the other night, because I thought it was happening, and I heard from a bunch of people that I honestly believed that it was going to be Jimmy coming back, and that they worked out a deal, and that it would probably end up being a 3rd. They were stuck on a 4th, and then it doesn't happen. They go Trey Lance, which is kind of a jaw dropper, and then McCorkle drops down to the Patriots, and like that's our new guy. And like, look. If it's like an okay Matt Ryan, if it's a high ceiling Jimmy Garoppolo, that would be great from him. Bree, what do you got?
So while we are on this, Bill Belichick is doing his post-draft availability with the press. Mike Reese just tweeted out that Bill informed everyone this is Ernie Adams' last draft with the team.
Oh,
I know. I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
I'm pouring one out for the home.
I know.
I was going to say, pour one for Pink Stripes. Oh, all right. Can I put it in my mouth?
Pink Stripes forever.
Pink Stripes forever. Oh, man. There is no anybody in the NFL, in the draft rooms, in the war rooms, in the skybox, who's more legendary, more unpredictable, more brilliant, more maniacal, I think, than Ernie Adams. He's the man responsible for
in the most silent way, too.
Oh. And like he gives you the radio frequency in your ears. He controls the weather. He lets Bill know who they should take. Oh man.
Yeah, sad stuff. Sorry, guys. Bummer.
No, that's okay, because now #win it for Ernie.
There you go.
Damn straight. Damn straight.
There you go.
Find like a pink gemstone and put it on the Super Bowl ring for him.
Oh my God, they have to do that. Let's contact the pro shop immediately. A, they should have to like touch a pink gemstone, like they have to touch the Rock and Clemson when they come down.
Yeah.
And B, I'm insisting that if the Red Sox can have yellow Boston City edition jerseys, then we can have pink stripe alternate jerseys this year for Ernie Adams. Come on.
At least a patch.
Right?
Yeah,
right.
I'm in for that.
Pink. Oh, there you go. Laurie LeBlanc, pink stripes forever. No, and by the way, can we just address this? Brian, can you like the Edelman to Tampa?
Oh,
rumors,
please, stop. Everybody stop.
Thank you.
Julian Edelman lives, eats, breathes, whatever other bodily function you want to come up with, Boston. He's not going to come here and say, oh, I'm retired, and then pull a Gronk and then come back and then go to Tampa. If he couldn't play anymore, he couldn't play anymore, and he's not going to do it anywhere else. And if he magically gets re-healed, it's not going to be to the point where he can go play at a high level again on a team that is potentially going to repeat.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. I don't think he has that gene in him where he is going to go back on his word against two people in this building right behind me that he respects to the fullest extent.
No.
So all of the stuff between Tom on social media, that's all it is it's stuff between Tom and social media. It's jokes. It's all for fun. It's not going to happen. Please stop.
Just like when we get together on a Saturday night, talk draft, and have a couple beverages, be we in our house, in our basement, or outside Gillette. It's all fun. It's all jokes. It's all banter and interplay. You have a soccer game to get to, my friend.
I do.
Thank you for joining us. Once again, follow her at BSP_13. Brianna Pirre, thank you so much. Have a great time. Go Revs.
Enjoy.
Bye, you guys. It
Enjoy
was so
for us, okay?
talking to you. Oh,
Great
miss you
talking
guys.
to you.
Hopefully
Always.
we can get to this building soon. All three of us.
See you in person.
Bus it to Boston. I'll meet you guys there.
Let's go. All right, you guys.
All right, Taylor, stick around. We'll answer a couple questions. Thank you. See you, Brie. Bye-bye. She's a rock star, man. She's awesome.
Absolutely. Just two fools left.
Just us two fools. Just us two fanalytical fools.
Cheers, baby.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay, so let's do a little. Let's take some questions from the crowd right here, right now, because when I've got a mind like yours, I would love to pick it. Yeah, nobody sees him doing that. Oh, hold on, wait. Matt Savory replying from the Kentucky Derby, which is going off in 10 minutes. It looks like Tom Brady is drunk again.
I have a friend there actually right now, so I'm gonna check in live to see what the
Please
deal is.
See if you can see him.
Is Brady trash?
Okay. Simon Victor checking in. Fitzy, what's your favorite pick? Let's each of us go. Favorite pick. I want to say Mac Jones. I know that's kind of base. That's kind of chalk for me. But I'm going to say that's my favorite pick just because I wanted him. I said it on the radio this week. It was there in front of us the entire time. When you got people like Charlie Weiss who understand the Weiss, Earhart, Perkins, Brady, McDaniels system and say like, this guy will be able to do that. The Patriots will be able to do a lot of forward passing. He's very smart. He's also like super sneaky competitive. This is a great fit for what the Patriots do. I buy it. I believe in them. I'll take it at their word. If that makes me a pom-pom guy and a Kool-Aid drinker, fine. I love that. The sneaky extra favorite pick, getting Barmore at 38 was in a bad defensive tackle draft. That was huge.
Yeah. I mean, you're completely justified in liking Mac. Like I said on Twitter that it's a lot more fun watching him when you don't have like Fields and Trey Lance in mind because it's a tough pill to swallow in a league where you got Mahomes, Watson, and all these quarterbacks who are like crazy athletic, make a throw from any angle, and they can, chuck it 60 yards in their sleep. Mm-hmm. And Mac's not that guy. I'm not going to say he has bad arm strength because when he needs to drive a throw like 30, 40 yards, he can do it. The problem with him, and I think this is where most people are going to have an issue, just in terms of like surface level, what's very obvious is that when he needs to make those like 50+ yard throws, the ball dies on him. It gets there, which is important to understand. It's not like he's underthrown to the point where nobody can catch it, but it makes it harder on the receiver. And sometimes he's getting explosive plays when he could be getting touchdowns. There's also the fact that he is a great processor.
Yep. Okay.
And he's a great processor, but sometimes he over processes. Like sometimes he'll hit the check down when he's got a good shot deep, just because it seems like he's either going too fast or maybe he's not confident enough to do it. I don't think it's because he can't. He's also, I'm not sure what it is. I don't like to get in guys' heads when I'm watching film, but those are the things that kind of jumped out to me, but there's so much to like about him at the same time. Like I say that to preface it by saying he is very smart. You see one of the things I like about him is that it's really important to bring your eyes and your feet together when you're going through your reads. Because a lot of guys will basically go through, but they won't move.
I can't do it getting out of bed or going to the bathroom and take a piss in the middle of the night. How's this guy supposed to do it with 280-pound behemoths hell-bent on crushing his soul and destroying his will? And I hear you and most people may or may not know these stats, but Mac Jones, now you just sort of explained that. So that was like the long, smart way of saying 0 to 10 yards. He was the best in college football last year and one of the best in NCAA history. And the highest completion percentage for a Division I quarterback ever, Mac Jones in 2020 with 77.4%. So even though I know that, even though I know he's dumping it off to Najee Harris short and he's going deep to Jalen Waddle when he's healthy and he's got the Slim Reaper just carving up routes. Yeah, he's like I like the preemptive anticipatory nature of his throws. Like he throws it there. Like there were a lot of passes when they turned, the ball would be outside by their hips in a position where even a long arm couldn't get it. And don't forget, went up against a damn good defense in practice every day. Like when you have to try to beat Patrick Surtain II, when you've got to beat Dylan Moses and you've got to beat Barmore and company, like that's pretty damn impressive too. Iron sharpens iron. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And I know there was one play that really stood out to me once where, like he doesn't have the play extension ability that others have because he's not the freak athlete, but he still can extend plays. He's very good at finding a platform like in the pocket when things get kind of muddy, where he's more comfortable and he can make the throws he needs to. He'll make a deep throw also. Like he'll make those tough throws when guys are bearing down and about to hit him. You see plenty of that on his tape. I remember there was one throw where he bought a little bit of time. He went out to his left and he was trying to signal to his receiver to go downfield. The receiver wasn't, I don't know, for whatever reason, they weren't on the same page. And it was like a deep curl. And the receiver didn't go deep. So he was like, all right, whatever. And he threw the guy open with a defender on his back. So I say that to say, like, Mac Jones is a fun guy to watch as long as you're not thinking he's going to be, one of these freak athlete quarterbacks. But you don't necessarily need that. If you've got a quarterback who is intelligent, who's going to make those correct throws, who can make – how many Super Bowls have we seen where Tom Brady doesn't make a pass that's deeper than 10 yards? Right. Like you have those where like by the third quarter, there'll be the graphic and it's like Tom Brady has completed the pass for 10 yards, but they're still in the game. So those aren't always the most important thing. Big plays are good, but that's not their offense.
No, you're right. Super Bowl 46 was a perfect example. Like he didn't complete any long passes in that game until he had to in the fourth quarter. The one time he tried a bomb, Chase Blackburn ran down an ankle-depleted Gronk, and that kind of screwed them over in the late third, early fourth quarter. Everything when he completed 16 passes in a row was like 5, 6, 7, 8. It was all Danny Woodhead, Deion Branch, Aaron Hernandez, rest in peace, all that jazz. So like that's the like Mac Jones is going to be able to make those throws. And here's the thing. Like I love the way that this receiving core is built up right now. Like I still think Gunnar Olszewski has a chance to follow that Edelman-like track from like where the hell did you go and why are you here to like special teamer to like slot receiver. He's speedy. He's carefree and doesn't give a shit about going over the middle or doing whatever they ask of him.
It's scary sometimes. That dude's crazy.
Scary to agree, but Texas forever and long live Bemidji State. Then you get like Bourne, possession receiver, Jacoby Myers. I don't know how he can run a 4.7, but with big great hands like that and that slow toe drag, he gets open. Yeah. Aguilar will stretch it, and we're just like we haven't even mentioned like the fact like the tight ends, the two kids from last year and the two ginormous brohemoths they signed this season. But if you were like picking one to stand out this season, Taylor, between Hanta and Jonnu, who do you think who's got the bigger stats? Who gets the more love?
Oh, that's really tough. I think it's going to be Jonnu just because there's so many different ways they can do it with him. Like Hunter Henry is versatile in that you can flex him out. He can play outside. He can be away from the line of scrimmage. He can be in line. He's going to rack up a lot of numbers. But Jonnu can do so many different things, and I think they're going to give him so many more opportunities to have the ball in space and be like, hey, dude, just make a play, break some tackles, make guys miss. Right. And that's another exciting thing about this offense when you think about Mac Jones and you say, okay, he's not going to throw it that deep. But it's like, what's the West Coast offense? The Patriots have a blend of a few different philosophies, but one of the cores is the West Coast in that they really are just trying to throw under 10 yards. They're trying to get the ball into their players' hands and let them make plays after the catch. And that's worked pretty well in the past. You get as long as you have the right guys around you. Now, last year, they didn't have those guys. You had James White and Jacoby Myers, who isn't even the most dynamic guy in space himself. And those were your main guys. Demir Bird kind of came on at the end of the year, but he's still small. There are absolutely limitations. But now when you got a guy like Jonnu Smith who just shreds tackles, he's fast as hell. Like I remember when I compared him and Aaron Hernandez is more agile and I think he's more flexible and just like I don't know how that guy moved what he did at his size.
Honest to God, freak athlete. Like again, like it's awful what he did. It's awful what happened to him. That dude was a ridiculous athlete. I've never seen somebody his size move like that.
And I think I was in 7th grade. I think it was like 7th grade, something like 2011 when he was popping off and everything. So I didn't appreciate it as much. Then I went back. I did a whole project on my Patreon. I broke down all of Gronkowski's targets and all of Aaron Hernandez's touches from 2011. And that dude was just like a freak athlete. And Jonnu isn't quite as flexible and as nimble, but
Yep.
he's faster than Hernandez. Like in a straight line, Smith is going to outrun like most safeties and a lot of corners. He's a really fast player, and he's also just got that toughness where Hernandez, his biggest upside was that he had a lot of competitive toughness, which allowed him to capitalize on the fact that he was a crazy athlete and just break all these tackles, and he had great vision. And that's what Jonnu brings to the table. So I don't think Hunter is as dynamic as Gronk, where, when you saw that tandem, it was always Gronk was number one because he's just faster than most people,
Right.
bigger, stronger, all those things. Hunter has a lot of those attributes, but he really is more of a Gronk light just because of how rare Rob's talent is. So again, I'm the king of long-winded answers, but I would give it to Jonnu in terms of being the guy who's going to rack up a lot of numbers. He can play slot receiver, he can play tight end, running back, fullback. There's just so many opportunities for him to rack up numbers.
All right, here's got a couple more for you, then we can wrap and hopefully we'll all go home happily with extra Derby money in our pocket. So here's one for you, buddy. Delusional Patriots fan. So that handle should be at all of us. Could Mac Jones be the quarterback N'Keal Harry needs? I've wondered, could Mac Jones, because of like I said, anticipatory, finds those windows, maybe he could throw him the 50-50 balls, much higher level of accuracy. Do you think N'Keal Harry will finally shine? Because otherwise, forget about worrying about his 5th-year option getting picked up. If he sucks this year, if he shits the bed, he gone after year 3.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Cam fan, so obviously, this is what it is. But
weave it in.
Mac is not better than it's not going to be like Mac Jones is the reason that N'Keal Harry has comeback season. If N'Keal is going to have a career resurgence, it will be with Cam. Cam has stuck up for him in the media. He stuck up for him in the what's the Brandon Marshall show? I Am Athlete. Show. He stuck up for him on that without being asked to directly. He brought up N'Keal. Anytime he's asked about receivers, Cam is the one who goes out of his way to bring up N'Keal. I think Cam's play style suits N'Keal better because when you talk about those 50-50 balls, that's much more, I think, Cam's game than Mac's. I think Mac was just capitalizing on the fact they had so much talent at receiver that they had so many more deep opportunities. But I think that it's much more in Cam's wheelhouse to give him those opportunities. So I'm not going to say that Mac isn't someone who he could thrive with. But if, you're going to say, hey, N'Keal had a career year, I think that he's much better off with Cam, who is objectively, and I think will be for the foreseeable future, a better quarterback than Mac Jones.
Wow, there. I see. I love the fact. I love that you do that because it's the easy route. The road most traveled is Cam sucks. He led the league in throwing to people's ankles. He's a shoe topper. He's wild. He doesn't process the information as correctly. If only he could find a way to translate the outfits and the emotional intelligence and the love and the adoration and the good nicknames into good football on the field. I'm willing to see. That's why I'm willing to give him one more shot. I want to see what he can do now, especially with Stid, as produced by Instagram influencer extraordinaire Kennedy Stidham, pushing him. I want to see, knowing Mac Jones is coming in, presenting that squeaky clean image, but at the same time being like, hey, listen, no offense, but I'm here to kill you. So you can hold me off as long as you want. Maybe that brings out the best in Cam.
And I think if you want to look at Cam and be like, all right, this is, there's something to grab onto, it's pinned on my Twitter. Look at the last drive from the Seahawks game last year. That was, first of all, they should have won the game. There was actually a pass that went right through Edelman's hands.
So he threw it too hard. Threw it too hard. I don't want to argue and interrupt, but he threw it too hard, damn it. If he took 5 miles an hour off that fastball, Edelman would have caught that. Freaking.
Okay. All right. Anyways, but in all seriousness, that was one of the best drives Cam had all season. And that was before COVID, when he was a little more on the same page, when things were going at a pace where he felt comfortable in the offense because they weren't supercharged and 2 weeks ahead of where he was at. All these, there were just so many small things that went into what happened with Cam's season that are so easy to be like, yeah, excuse. But it's these are professional football players. Like we always talk about how the NFL, it's like a split second, everything's faster, everything's more difficult. That matters no matter how smart you are. Cam is known and has been known throughout his professional career as being one of the smarter and better pocket passers in the NFL, despite his athleticism. You don't see him break the pocket when he doesn't need to. He's very good back there. He's very cerebral. And he admitted very openly on I Am Athlete, he's like, I didn't know what the protections were. I wasn't walking up to the line confident. That makes a huge difference in the fourth quarter of games. But again, go to that Seahawks game and you will see that he was confident. He was going through. He was finding the open guys. He was using his legs only when he needed to. That's the kind of thing that you have to look forward to in the future because the guy is still very talented. Tom Brady's quarterback coach for however long. He's a fantastic guy.
He's totally a goat whisperer. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. And he said, Cam Newton is still a freak athlete. He can make any throw he wants to. It's just about this point in his career. It's the mechanical consistency because he's not 22 years old where he can kind of throw it from whatever platform he wants. And although the ball placement may not be completely on point, it isn't for most quarterbacks. And he's still getting it there. He's getting it there with velocity. He's getting it there on time. And he's making all the throws that you're asking of him. He still has all that potential. It's just about getting in a place where he's comfortable mentally so that it can process and then translate physically so that he doesn't have to constantly think.
And Taylor, I'm just going to show you right now real quick before I get to the last question. You got guys like Benjamin Taylor and Facebook in our chat saying Cam had there you go. Cam had a rough year. He's going to be all right. He'll figure out he's going to be awesome. And then we have Eric Petchke who says, no way Cam's out of his prime. Time for the dude to retire. I mean,
Cam is 32 years old. He's not out of his prime. 30 years old is prime for most professional athletes. Tom Brady's when did he even turn 30? Tom Brady's second prime was around his 40s.
You weren't even in puberty when Tom Brady turned 32.
I wasn't. I didn't sound like this when Tom Brady turned 32.
Yeah.
The prime thing, don't worry. Cam is, he's got his injuries, but don't worry about him not being in his prime. He's still very good.
All right. Here's the last one for you. A couple comments came in like this. So Jeffrey Shaw has this one. Here we go. Could you see Cam and Mac on the field at the same time?
No. I can't. I don't think McDaniels is the kind of experimental guy who would go to that length because it's completely unnecessary. I think that Jarrett Stidham is going to be the backup all year unless Mac blows him out in preseason. Just because Jarrett knows the system better. He's not a rookie quarterback. He may not be the most exciting option, but who are you going to trust to run your offense? You know what I'm saying? Mac does have a leg up for sure, but I don't think Mac's going to be active on game days. And if he is, I couldn't imagine a reason that you'd want him and Cam on the field at the same time, very honestly.
Yeah, I know. I've tried to think or just imagine what if maybe he could do a little Taysom Hill action because I saw Jacoby Myers drop that dime to him and he scored a touchdown in the final game. And then I just thought okay, maybe they're just testing that out. Maybe they want to see if that's a reality next year, if this is a possibility.
It's a fun thought. I'm not gonna say it's not.
You have to entertain it. I've told you before, we might disagree in a respectful, debatable, football, argumentative fashion. That I think Cam just has issues with the shoulder. Ever since TJ Watt hit that shoulder, he fucked it up forever. And I just don't know if he's going to be able to. As it was always a bit of a janky motion, but he threw a good.
You know what Tom House said? Tom House said it was the foot. It was the foot. Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That he can't
because with the good lower body mechanics, you take the pressure off your upper body. So as long as your lower body is, you're in sync, you got all your feet on the ground, because that's where your power is coming from. If you have all your cleats in the ground when you're throwing, you are generating as much power as possible. And obviously, if you've got your body lined up the right way, yada, yada, yada. Your arm, I don't want to say it's along for the ride, but I mean, when you talk about arm strength, it's not nearly as important as I think people give it credit for.
Right. Yeah, I know. Something maybe just thinking they could do a little wildcat action, but or excuse me, not that, but Taysom Hill, having him as a receiver, just some options, things to confuse defenses going forward.
I want Mac Jones running a real route. I just want to see it.
There you go.
I just want to see it.
Let's just get Mac Jones out there running a route. Mac Jones on the wheel route. Mac Jones on the jet sweep. So I'm always going to respect, appreciate, and admire Cam for being willing to step in and replace Tom Brady with only 2.5 months before the season. Granted, of course, he would have liked to have signed for more money previously. Nobody gave him an opportunity. Belichick said, I'll take a chance. And I think that's why Belichick respects and admires him so much, and is going to give him one more shot and says, like, okay, it's Cam's team. Part of that is also like, easy kid, easy Alabama. Like, this isn't just yours yet. This is kind of like the end of Saving Private Ryan. Like, you want to make, earn this shit. Like, this is like, I don't just give away starting quarterback to anyone on the New England Patriots for free or that easily. So it's going to be, dude, it's going to, like, camp is going to be great. The competition is going to be awesome. Mm-hmm. Taylor, it's an Iron Bowl. It's Bama versus 2 Auburns in the quarterback room for the right to start for the mother effing Patriots. Like, that's what's up. That's what I want to see.
And I'm trying to avoid tweeting out like too much propaganda, because I know I get excited at this time of year. I always try to back it up with film. I never like to make any sweeping, statements or anything and not have something to back it up with. But just in terms of, like, this reminds me of 2016, in that you've got so many smart and respected veterans in the locker room who are also talented. It's not like you got a bunch of Jags who are going to give a good halftime speech but aren't going to do much on the field. Like, you got Judon, Van Noy, Hightower. Like, just thinking of the linebacking core alone, how many guys you have that are difference makers who are going to give you that energy. Then Barrymore and Ronnie Perkins are 2 guys, when you watch them make plays, they're loud about it. Jalen Mills is honestly comically enthusiastic. Like, Eagles fans always make fun of him because he's that guy who, like, the pass will go 10 yards over the receiver's head, and he's like, when he's doing the whole celebration and everything. Yep. But that energy was missing from the defense last year. Like, how many times can you think of the defense making a big play and then just everyone going nuts, and you're like, hell yeah. Like, you didn't have that a lot last year. Nope. So not only do you have that energy and that leadership and that built reestablished camaraderie, I think that's going to be huge with Hightower and Kyle Van Noy coming back to the front. But then on offense, you got guys like Hunter and Jonnu, who are both leaders in their locker rooms. Kendrick Bourne, who is a leader in his. Nelson Aguilar, who is a leading receiver behind Darren Waller. I almost said Darren Waller.
Darren Waller. The ball. Yep.
Darren Waller on his team. Like, you got a lot of reasons to be optimistic about this team, and I feel like it's going to be a fun year. I think we got Cam Newton behind center. Like, we saw how fun he was in the brief moments where things were going right for the offense last year. Like, imagine that when he's throwing to guys who, even if he doesn't throw the most accurate pass, are going to be making these ridiculous catches, because that's what Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith are known for. And Aguilar is great deep threat. Kendrick Bourne, he's going to score touchdowns. He's that kind of guy who gets up. He's celebrating all the time. Anybody I know who likes the 49ers loves him, and they're like, he brought much energy. He's a great leader.
He was Jimmy Garoppolo's favorite receiver as well.
Absolutely.
Energy guy, loves football. Just like I said at the top of the live stream tonight, like, the new receiver, linebacker Cameron Mcgrone, the 5th-round pick for the Patriots. This guy said, I will, like, in his availability after he got drafted, I will do anything for the Patriots. This is what all of them have said. Mac Jones told the commissioner, like he told Charlie Weiss, like, this is what I wanted. This is where I wanted to be. He followed the path of the secret. He manifested this shit. Barmore was hoping he would end up there because Nick Saban told him, you want to go someplace, you want to make a difference, you go to the Patriots. All these guys wanted to be here. Yes,
Stevenson and Perkins were talking about being teammates together last year.
Right, and now you've got that badass running back in LeGarrette Blount 2.0 and Perkins, who could be like a supercharged, like a super soldier serum version of Trey Flowers, the kid they took in the 3rd round out of Oklahoma. Like, roll Pats, Boomer Foxborough. This was an awesome draft. They had a phenomenal free agency period. Like, they're not just going to be competitive this year. The Pats are going to be competitive and fun and diverse and unpredictable for the next couple of years. If Cam succeeds, shut up, everybody. Who cares how it looks? Because they're actually going to be winning games. And if not, you now have one of the smartest, most accurate, reliable quarterbacks in recent college football history to one day supplant him and hopefully be your Foxborough football future. We've never had a reason to complain because we got 6 Lombardis, Taylor. And now going forward, no more reason either.
Amen, brother. I think you hit the nail on the head. I'm just excited. Go Pats.
Simple enough. Go Pats. Exactly. Dude, we just wrapped up an hour. It went by like that. An hour's time here in the live stream. Thank you guys so much for the comments on YouTube, on Facebook, from Twitch, and Twitter doing the Periscope. You guys are awesome. Thus ends our week of live streams. This has been the Draftermath, reviewing the Patriots' 2021 uncharacteristically aggressive offseason and their 2021 draft. It was fantastic. Shout out to BSP, Brianna Pirre. She's now at the Revs game. Follow her at BSP_13. And honestly, I think the best analyst that No Network is currently employing at Taylor Kyle, at T Kyles 39 Taylor Kyles. You do an awesome job, dude. I'm doing this once or twice every week going forward anyway, just because it's fun when people still aren't sort of kind of going places to get on, talk sports, talk football, have a beverage, and just to engage and interact with your fans. So I hope you come back sometime soon, my man.
Dude, I will take any opportunity to talk to you. I love you, man.
Love you too, brother. Good job. Awesome. You did an awesome job. Thank you guys once again for all the questions, the comments, and so much more. Follow Taylor if you want to really deep dive that shit. He's got a Patreon. Throw him some money. Put it in his virtual tip jar. He's worth it and then some. Mark Staples, perfect comment to end on. I'm a spoiled Pats a-hole. Just like the rest of us, buddy. You got the best owner. You got the best coach, the best team, and I think we had the best draft. You're a Pats fan. You apologize for nothing. For Taylor, for Bree, your old pal Fitzy checking out. Thanks, guys, for watching. We will talk to you soon. Good night. God bless, and go fuck yourselves. All right? See ya.